Notice in accordance with the new copy regulations, this episode of Quoth Raven is intended for ages 16 and up. While some of the content will feature is kid-friendly, the context of the episode is to address adults and inform them of said content within their research as consumers in service of their youth. In other words, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, teachers, librarians, etc. There is a possibility of adult language present on the episode of well-rated TV 16 and up. Welcome, welcome. Once again, another edition of Quoth Raven with Bright Raven. It is Tuesday, July 13th, and we are a day late. Usually do our Monday reviews on Monday, but had some business to do yesterday, and it took me too long to get it done, so I couldn't do the show yesterday. So we're doing it today. So let's get started with questions this week. Our first question. Multiple parties have asked me if I've seen Black Widow, the new Marvel movie. I have not. I don't know if or when I'm going to see it, to be honest. Usually who I go to see such movies with is John Norris, one of our regular reviewers. But he's busy with rehearsals and theatrical shows pretty much through, I think, the end of August. So that's, he's not there. And I don't know if my other person I usually go with is going to be available either. I haven't had a chance to ask him. So if I ask him and we figure out something about it, maybe. But otherwise, I'm not really concerned because honestly, it means time away from the house, away from doing podcasts to go see it anyway. So, yeah, it is what it is. So, next question. When is the next vault sale? That would be July 31st, probably. Let's see, that is a Saturday, I believe. Yes, so July 31st. That'll be 2 weeks from this Saturday. That'll be the next vault sale. The next question is a return question. And it's by Johnny V from Greensboro, North Carolina. Apparently, he missed the episode where I answered this. Are you ever going to do a live one-man jam piece during a live draw where the audience gets to call out the characters and styles like you do at conventions? I'm thinking about that. I said I would do it before when I originally answered this. But the reality is I don't really get that many live viewers watching to do a full jam piece. Just don't have a whole lot of subscribers, don't have a lot of people watching the show. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that specific type of jam piece or not. But I might do a themed jam piece or something like that with specific characters. Maybe I'll do a thing on Facebook and let people pick what theme they want me to go with, and then I'll make up something. But I don't know. But doing like I would do at shows where it's literally random characters called out, and I'd say, okay, that one type thing. I just don't see it happening until people start subscribing to the channel. I'm almost tempted to say I won't do it until I get 100 subscribers. Is that a goal? Give me 100 subscribers and I'll do a jam piece. But we'll see. Next question is another return question from Kevin C. When are you going to do that Jeopardy-like quiz show where you said you were going to do, where you're going to give away prizes? The answer to that is when John gets back from his theater stuff. So probably not until end of August, early September, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to talk to him and see what his schedule is like, but that'll be what it's about. And then I still got to see who's all going to be on the show and who's going to get it and how we're going to do it. Because if we're going to give away prizes and stuff, I want to make it fair for everybody to have an equal opportunity. Our next question. Are you going to have a book out in 2021, multiple parties? Uh, Possibly. I don't know. If I do, it'll be late in November or December. I don't want to make any promises, though, so we'll see. Sean M. asks, are there any artists you're professionally jealous of for their skills or success? I don't know if jealous is the right word. There's certainly people who I wish I could have the same level of skill about, but it's not necessarily who you think. Um, I would love to have the inking skills of Gary Martin. Very underrated, but extremely talented inker. Um, Pencils wise, I don't know. As far as penciling, I don't know. There's just so many people out there, and I don't really draw enough these days to do what I used to do, where I could emulate a lot of different styles. So to me, it's not really being jealous of somebody else's style as much as trying to learn it. And if I can emulate it, fine. If I can't, oh well. Yeah. So that's kind of how I feel about that. So if you have a question, you can email me at quothravenlbr72@gmail.com, subject QTR Q&A. Okay. Let's see what other cool stuff we got going on today. Because we got a number of books that we have to review. Let's start with Batman Adventures Continue, Season 2, Number 2 for $3.99. Publisher is DC Comics. Writers are Alan Burnett and Paul Dini. Artist is Ty Templeton with colors by Monica Cabina. The genre is superhero and it was released July 7th, 2021. What it's about. Batman and Deadman trying to solve the murder of Mayor Hamilton. Meanwhile, Hamilton Jr. and Hamilton's wife are fighting over the embezzled monies from their family fortune, and she threatens to expose Hamilton Jr. for doing it. It turns out, however, that the Court of Owls has a new leader, Mayor Hamilton. He resurrects himself and is now planning to take down Batman in Gotham. Very cool issue. The only thing I don't really care for is the cover, because there's nothing related to that scene in the comic. But other than that, really good issue. I loved it. 2 whole issues and the story is told. Even if they don't continue the story any further, they can, but they don't have to because everything is complete here. Now, I've never followed the Court of Owls storyline in the regular comics, so I'm not that familiar with the history. But I think I was given all the info I needed to understand what was going on in the history of the Owls enough. Another great element of this storyline is the great humor throughout. Had this story been written by the so-called writers of the regular Batman line, this would have all been grim dark, sucking any and all enjoyment I would have gotten out of it, and would have taken 10 issues crossing through 3 or 4 titles over 3 months to tell the story that was told in 2 issues here. Like I said, the only thing that really annoyed me about the book is the cover, as it has nothing to do with the story at all. Nightwing's only in the book at the beginning, and he never faces off against any owls, so it makes me wonder if that was supposed to be a cover for a different issue or something by mistake. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But as per usual, Burnett, Dini, and Thompson show everybody how it's supposed to be done. And I recommend it for ages 13 up. I give it a 5-star rating as far as the story goes. And here's some of the artwork. Deadman is in the Batcave and talking to Batman. And, of course, Nightwing and Robin are not seeing him. So they think the Batman's talking to himself at first, or, Robin is. But Nightwing figures it out very quickly that Deadman's in the room. And Deadman takes possession of Alfred, and Alfred says hello to Nightwing and then does some flips and acrobatics in Alfred's body, which I thought was kind of cool. And then later in the story, this is where Hamilton Jr. and Batman and Deadman are all facing off against Mayor Hamilton and the Court of Owls, who are a bunch of undead zombie critters. And it's a pretty cool story overall. Mm-hmm. Templeton just does a really nice job on the artwork. Our next book is Beasts of Burden. Is that a kid's book? Batman: The Adventures Continue. It's considered for 13 and up. Our next book is Beasts of Burden: Occupied Territory, number 4 of 4 issue miniseries, $3.99 cover price. Publishers Dark Horse. Writers are Evan Dorkin and Sarah Dyer, with art by Benjamin Dewey. The genre is supernatural horror, released July 7th, 2021. Last issue, our sidekick Dog Mullins, that's the one in the center bottom, with the dog tag around his neck, was bitten by one of the plague vampire heads and poisoned. Emma is the wise sheepdog, that's the center top of the 4 dogs, and their local friends have to take Mullins to see the Spider Queen, Jiragumo, and I thought that was Jiragumo Akami, it's just Jiragumo. Akami is something else there, pertaining to different supernatural critters in Japan. But anyway, they beseech her to remove the curse that she has cast against the land. They explain to her how her curse, which was intended to be attacking only humans, after the chemicals from their planes and ships had burned her while she slept, is actually hurting the land and the animals as well. Will she listen and remove her curse, or will she and her minions kill them? My thoughts on this issue is it's a very nice conclusion of the story. This is the alternate cover. This is the actual cover I got. I was not expecting that. I thought I was getting the regular cover, but they gave me the alternate cover. I presume because they figured, oh, it's got Raven heads, so he's Raven. He will appreciate that. So I figured that's why the store gave me that version. But anyway, it's a very nice conclusion to the story arc. I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't speak of the reveals. I will say that it's nice to see a story that ultimately gets resolved without violence, especially when there has already been plenty of violent confrontations between characters throughout the earlier issues of the story. Beasts of Burden is one of those series that all too often gets overlooked on the comics market. It's a critical darling, having earned numerous Eisner nominations and awards, but sadly, the general audiences of comics fandom don't seem to be able to keep the title on their radar. It's kind of like Usagi Yojimbo. Everybody knows it's a kick-ass title, but hardly anybody buys it comparative to the half-ass superhero schlock. So I guess this is to say, if you're tired of superhero schlock and the whole Comicsgate SJW nonsense, this is a series you should probably start looking for. Recommended for ages 13 and up. I give it 4.5 stars. And here's where they're talking to the Spider Queen and explaining the situation. And you can see where her whole back is all burnt and all messed up from the chemical spills from the warplanes and tanks and stuff that went seeped into the ground and burned her. And of course, they convince her, and the plague gets sucked out of Mullins. And then she says, "Well, I'm going to go back to sleep now, and hopefully, when I wake up, all humans will be dead." And her minions don't like that, so Mullins goes after the minions after they've captured her, the rest of the pack there. So that was kind of an interesting thing, and that's after um, Mullins attacks them, he kind of gets brushed off aside several times. An earlier issue, they went to the animal council rather, and the bird people, like the raven people, were part of the council, and that's where that whole cover scene from the other issue, that alternate cover, came from. Was that part of the story? They show up at the end and kind of um, say, "Okay, we're going to speak with the minions now that Spider Queen's gone back to sleep." So that kind of concludes that story, and then I think they're going to go right into a new series soon, but I don't know for sure about that. But you should definitely look for Beasts of Burden trade paperbacks through Dark Horse online, either at the darkhorse.com site or elsewhere. Our next book is Chained to the Grave, number 4 and number 5, $3.99 each. The publisher is IDW Publishing. Writers are Andy Eschenbach and Brian Lovell. The artist is Kate Sharon. Genre is dark fantasy western. It was released. I left that blank. 5 was released July 7th. I don't remember exactly when Chained to the Grave number 4 was actually came out. I think it came out 2 weeks ago. But anyway, what it's about. Outlaw Ray Mason has come back from the dead, chained to the headstone that marked his grave. On the trail of buried gold and hunted by a big bad, Roy struggles to hold his family and his body together. His wife had resurrected him to get the gold that he had hid before he was executed, has betrayed him, and because of that, she's paid the ultimate price. Mason has some allies trying to help him and his kids, but the big bad has resurrected his old gang, and they're all after him with a vengeance. Can Mason get his children to safety and give them the life they deserve, or will he fail and watch them fall into darkness? My thought is, honestly, the final 2 issues are chock full of action, as Mason is constantly on the run and ultimately has to confront the ghosts of his past, both literally and figuratively. But in many ways, I was nonplussed about it. It could be I just burned out on the story, or because there may have been delays between the 3rd and 4th issues, I think, maybe. I don't know. I just lost the narrative, though, and I couldn't get back into it. That being said, the overall story is solid. It's a kitschy little psychedelic visual Western. If you like the old 1960s Clint Eastwood Western movies like Hang 'em High, Fistful of Dollars, The Outlaw Josie Wales, and stuff like that, I would recommend this comic. Recommended for ages 16 and up. I gave it 3.5 stars. And that's not just for these 2 issues, that's overall. I think it was number 1 got 3.5 stars, number 2 got 4 stars, number 3 got 3 stars, and then these 2 got 3.5 each. So I just figured for the whole series, 3.5. Beasts of Burden seems excellent. Never heard of it. How many issues to a pub? Oh my goodness. I don't know. There's a lot of them, actually. They've been doing Beasts of Burden for a decade at least, and it's not like a regular ongoing series. They just do new series coming out here and there. But yeah, best thing I could tell you is just look online for it and stuff. But there's trades of all the stories. I think there's probably somewhere between 6 and 10 trades of all the stories. You might want to look. Yeah, okay. Basically, if you go to Wikipedia, it'll give you their publishing history and the collected editions. There's 3 major collected editions: Beasts of Burden, Animal Rights, Neighborhood Watch, and Wise Dogs and Eldritch Men. And And there's a few other places where they made appearances, like in the Dark Horse Book of Hauntings, the Dark Horse Book of Witchcraft, the Dark Horse Book of the Dead, and the Dark Horse Book of Monsters. Um, they also did a Hellboy one-shot crossover. Um, so pretty much though, I think you can get the collected editions that are the three there. So there you can go check out the information and get the ISBN numbers for the trades and stuff like that. Definitely worth your time. Our next book is Clans of BELARI #1 for $4.99 from Aftershock Comics. Writers are Peter and Rob Blackie. The artist is Daniel Main. The color by Carlos Lopez. Genre is science fiction. Released July 7th, 2021. What it's about. In the BELARI star system or galaxy, they have four major rules that all races and planets abide by. Number one is no person or clan can exit the system. Two, no person can do the designated work of another clan. In other words, you can't help someone load the transport if you're designated as a farmer, for example. Only a designated crew can do it. Three, clans may not merge. And four, any violation of rules 1 through 3 makes you a social outcast and thus criminal or slave to serve on desolate, basically uninhabitable conditions in worlds. Not much fun. This is the worldview of our characters and what they exist in. So the story revolves around a ship commander named Gummy, not Gunny, but Gummy with two M's, and his adopted child Taya. Gummy makes a poor executive decision in order to change his course near a planet who shoots his ship down when he fails to change course like they ordered him to do, which leads to the death of his crew and all the rest of the people that he was transporting, save for Taya, who at the time was only 4 years old. Because she's a different clan, at first he leaves her behind on this planet because he thinks her clan will come get her. When he's picked up by his people and it's explained that the planet is an outcast's planet and that he was lucky that he was even called and picked up, he realizes his mistake and demands that they go back after her and get her, collect her. Adopting her and accepting a much lower ranking position in his own clan, or possibly another clan, trying to get himself off the radar so that his clan won't hold him responsible for his mistake of the crash of the starship. The pair lived quiet lives for about 8 years. Then when Taya is 12, she's studying hard and has aspirations to be a transport pilot, only to be told by Gummy that this is an impossible dream due to the societal restrictions of those rules that I just went through with you. Basically, all she'll ever get to be is a transport loader at best, because that's what society has dictated for her. This, of course, does not sit well with Taya, who thinks all of these rules are foolish and stupid. And in some respects, Gummy is being a total hypocrite because technically he jumped fields to avoid penalty from his clan. Granted, it was a significant downgrade from where he had been, but nevertheless, it's kind of criminal to do it. Then, while on a loading trip, Taya accidentally breaks the law by accepting seeds from a farming woman who is feeding animals. The constable is about to arrest her, but Gummy gets her out of the situation as a misunderstanding because she didn't know the laws. This infuriates Taya even more because, again, she thinks it's foolish. When the constable representative seems to be after her again, Gummy then takes it upon himself to take out the constable, and now they're on the run. And what do I think about it? Well, the hypocrisy of Gummy constantly telling her to mind the laws while he's constantly breaking them himself with little or no consequences. Yes, he does everything he can to avoid consequences, but he knows full well he's breaking the laws and continues to break the laws, is palpable and smacks of the symbolic representation of how white men can get away with shit while minorities don't. Of course, Taya is, you can see, is a center woman. She's a black female. The guy in the bottom right is Gummy, who's a white, middle-aged male. So this begs the question of just how the hell does he continue to get away with this stuff? He should definitely be an outcast, given all things that he does to get both of them into trouble. All, again, while telling Taya to mind the law and not break the rules. Further, there are certain things that don't add up. He should be immediately identifiable as a captain of a lost ship through various facial scan recognition software. There also should be serious questions of a middle aged white man traveling with a young black girl and nobody else, asking for familial papers or other papers to show that they belong together. I would say would be common practice at this time in this universe, but it's neither shown nor explained how they get around this issue. Little things like this bother me as a reader and as an editor because all these issues would lead to circumstances that break those three primary laws that are so important to the storyline, supposedly, and should lead to him becoming an outcast. Like I said, he's also them, you know, breaking minor rules that draw attention to him that also pertain to primary laws or to the primary laws. So I can only conclude that when Taya has had enough of Dummy's bullshit, she's going to start a revolution against these laws, and he's going to be conned into going along with her to protect her, which will eventually lead to his own self-sacrifice so that she can ultimately pursue her ambitions. Maybe they'll even throw in who Taya's actual bloodline is, and it turns out she's upper class and can be whatever the heck she wants. And she uses her newfound place in society to make it so everybody gets that equal opportunity. I don't know if that's what's going to happen in the book, but that's just reading from the first issue. That's what it comes across to as from me. Daniel Main is a new artist to me. Overall, I like his work. He has a good grasp of drawing everything. By this, I mean many artists in comics today are terrible at drawing a lot of different things. Like maybe they can't draw little kids, or they're lousy at drawing different types of backgrounds consistently. And Maine seems to be above average across the boards in this regard. And that's not always an easy thing to find. The script by the Blackies is solid. Like I said, there are some things that I kind of nag at me a little bit. There are clear points as to Gummy's choices, but they never pontificate or info dump about it. You're left to draw your own conclusions that Gummy's making questionable decisions while totally understanding the reasons why those decisions are being made. I do think it's an overall strong start to the series. I'm just hoping that it isn't going to be as predictable as I think it's going to be. Recommended for ages 13 and up. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. And here's some of the art. Gummy gets off the ship and he's wounded. He's got, piece of metal in his leg or stomach or whatever, and he rips it out. And the little 4-year-old Taya goes and gets the medical kit and gives him that, and he passes out and he's out for 2 days. He's 53 and she's 4, so I mean, kind of a crazy thing there. This moves up forward in the storyline. 8 years later, she's 12. We're starting to get near 13, old enough to start going on these trips to learn what her place in society is going to be. And she explains how she wants to be a pilot. Well, you can't. And, you can only do a job in the same tier as your parents. You could be a loader. And that's because he's basically the parent, so to speak. And he's a loader. That's what she can do. And she's like, that's stupid. And the other thing is, pilot at the top tier level of a clan job. And even the children of pilots don't always get to be pilots. And she's like, the whole thing is just stupid. So, she's not wrong. So like I said, I figure there's going to be this whole, either teenage rebellion or rebellion against the whole societal structure. I believe, Pop Culture, that you got this book. What did you think of it? If you've gotten around to reading it yet. And while I'm waiting to hear back from Pop, we'll move on to the next story or next book. Deep Beyond '6 from Image Comics, $3.99. Writers are Mirka Andolfo and David Goy. Artist is Andrea Baccardo with colors by Barbara Nocenzo. I love that last name. Nocenzo. You got no sense, no. Anyway, genre is science fiction. Pop Culture says he hasn't read the book yet. That Clans of BELARI. Anyway, science fiction, Beyond, released July 7th. Basically, it's revealed to Jolene and the rest of the crew that her twin sister Pamela is dead. It turns out when they transversed from Earth to the other dimensional reality planet that they're on now, the time shift meant that Pam arrived centuries of the New World's time before they did, and she's long dead and gone. Of course, Jolene and Paul are devastated. Jolene being sister and Paul being Pamela's husband or ex-husband. Worse because of how the underwater base that they traveled from the portal that they used to get there was essentially destroyed. There's no way they can get back to Earth. This makes Jolene essentially inconsolable, and Paul meets up with the past adversaries who show him that Pam left a legacy and was expecting them to arrive. Now can Paul and Joe fulfill this destiny? Is really the question that leads next. And what I thought, for essentially when it's an issue of nothing but info dump and talking heads, it's a fairly breezy and quick-paced read. It's all important information, and it's leading up to what will obviously be Paul and Joe and others leading a revolution against the New World's leaders, so it's fine, but it's not anything special. Recommended for ages 16 and up. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And this is early artwork in the early pages. One of the characters is talking to your mother holographically for what was going on, and that's the same one that's got her hand up against the glass over here. They're in one of those floating cubes on the other planet, and basically they turn around and tell Jolene her sister's dead. And it's like, well, do you have any tact? Well, why would I need tact? It's just a fact. Pardon the pun. Of course, they explain why she's dead, which again goes back to the whole different timeline and different how time passes between the two worlds. So the artwork is nice. Story, like I said, it's okay. It's average. Our next book is Green Lantern #4, $4.99 by publisher DC Comics. Written by Jeffrey Thorne with art by Dexter Soy and Marco Santucci. Colors by Alex Sinclair. Covered by Bernard Chang and Alex Sinclair. The genre is science fiction, political drama, superhero. It was released July 7th of this year. Well, it's about John Stewart defeats the Quinori slavers, but learns that they've taken out over 300 Green Lanterns as bounties. Then the story shifts back to Oa, where Joe Molina and Kelly Teen Lantern, as Joe confirms more dead Green Lanterns, including several former key members from the past, most notably Aricia. Not sure if they meant they were killed as bounties or during the attack on Oa, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, the investigation of the Owen attack reveals that the explosion of the power battery for the Green Lanterns wasn't really an explosion, but a molecular deconstruction, and that the Guardians are trapped and are either dying or are already dead, and we're just watching them as they are in delayed decomposition. Has been determined by the Coluan investigator, that's Brainiac's people, that Sinestro is the most likely party responsible for the attack. Teen Lantern goes ballistic at this information and charges off for New Corridor, that's Sinestro's new home planet, to exact revenge on Sinestro for wrecking the power battery. My thoughts are I like the John Stewart part of the story, and I like how they did the transition from John to Joe. But I did not care for the Owen story because the Cullinan counselor or investigator was kind of giving us an obvious conclusion, and I am guessing that Sinestro is being framed, but possibly by a secret faction of the United Planets who simply want the Guardians and Green Lanterns out of the way of their plans permanently, and that the counselor is among those conspirators. Of course, Kelly, Teen Lantern, is so incensed about it and being easily manipulated, so that Joe and Simon Baz, who's the other Green Lantern left on Ola that's still alive, will have to go follow her to New Corridor to keep her out of trouble or to fight against the Sinestro Corps, which only serves the United Planet scheme, if I'm right. I'm hoping that Thorn is not being too predictable, as I was said about the other comic as well. That about the predictability with claims BELARI. Recommended for ages 13 and up, and I give it 3.5 stars. And there's the 2-page scene where they kind of basically end um, John's story. You can see all the you can see Stell's helmet, and you can see all the rings in a container. Uh, those are all from bounties that the Quinoans had captured and killed and took their rings. And then it cuts over to Sir General Moline, Joe Moline, and what's going on the planet Oa. I think that's a good. Since there are two different artists, left is yeah, on the right is Dexter Soleil, and on the left is Tom Rainey. So, pardon me, I met Tom Rainey on the left and Marco Santucci on the right. Pardon me. Our next book is Jenny Zero, number 3, $3.99. Publishers Dark Horse, writers are Dave DeWonk and Brackton McKinney, with art by Magenta King and colors by Dan. Nice cover design there with clouds kind of forming her superhero self there. Um, Genre is superhero and science fiction adventure, released July 7th. After the disaster of last issue, Jenny escapes and heads for the Himalayan mountains to find refuge with an old friend of her father's. The student meets her mentor when Jenny discovers that one of her father's oldest friends, Aiko, has been waiting for her to sober up long enough to teach Jenny the ways of a true drunken master. Meanwhile, Fujimoto, her uncle, um, finally unearths Action Science Police's dirty secret, but it is too late to save Jenny from the fallout. It's a respectable story, but it seems like Magenta's King's art gets sloppier with each passing issue. I would have liked to have seen more of a story, having Jenny meet Aiko's family, get some minor training, maybe even fall for a monk or something before the Action Science Police show up and try to collect her, but that's not what they did here. Sometimes I just feel like many comics are padded out to fill pages, slowed down. But this is a series that feels like there's too much left out of the story in that respect because they're trying to get it done within like 4 issues or whatever. Recommended for ages 16 and up. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And here's some of the artwork. Jenny is at the top of the mountain and she meets Aiko. And then this is the ASP group coming to try and collect Jenny. And of course, they're not going to have any of that. And they're going to take on the heavy And we have Out of Body number 2, 4.99. Publishers Aftershock Comics, written by Peter Milligan, with art by Anaki Morando and colors by Eva De La Cruz. The genre is science fiction horror. It came out July 7th. And what it's about, our protagonist, Dan Collins, whose body lies in a living coma on life support after a brutal attack, traverses the spirit world towards the white light. He's about to be taken by an evil mage who serves a demon and intends to feed him to the demon, but psychic Abby McGrath shows up and convinces Dan to go with her instead. That's the way it is. The cover artist is actually, or not the cover artist, but the cover art rather, is of that evil mage guy, by the way. But Abby tells him the basics about astral projection, what you can and can't do. The time limit between your spirits tethered to your body expires and you're trapped in the spirit world, or how you can control other bodies, a la Dead Man. The dangers of being trapped in another's body and becoming a split personality is also mentioned. And it's good info dump. And they agree that they need to solve the attempted murder of Dan. Then it turns out, sick. Dan returns to his body only to find a fat ass nurse trying to have sex with his body, as he has to possess the nurse to get her off of him. That was a real turnoff for me. Then there comes the cliffhanger, explaining that Collins' life insurance coverage is lapsed, and then there orders some other error, and thus won't pay for his care. So now his life support, keeping his body alive, will be shut off within a week's time. So now he has to look to his deadbeat brother to figure out how to pay for all this, solve the attempted murder, and bring the charge to justice, all while evading a demon that still wants his soul. My thoughts are I was thoroughly disgusted with the whole nurse sex scene and feel that it had absolutely no purpose in being in a story, but we'll see. I mean, no, I just can't see a justification to put that in there. That's just me, though. I think it's very poor taste on Milligan's part. But, that's just my opinion. And I call total bullshit on him for the whole insurance situation. And that's because I've been through way too much of that crap in real life. And, that's having to deal with insurance not wanting to pay and the hospital trying to deny care and trying to squeeze the money for family. The bottom line is a scenario that the way it's described would never happen. It would be easy as pie for his brother to contact any attorney pro bono and have them file an injunction against the hospital, blocking them from taking Collins off of life support until a formal investigation about this so-called error or lapse insurance was conducted, which could take months. And, unless the hospital expedites it. And why would they expedite it? Because the longer he's on life support, the more money is owed to them. So I don't see a reason why they would expedite putting him, trying to get him out of it and into the real world. So, like I said, I went through a whole bunch of this when my mother was in a coma back in 2002. So, not really. I don't think Milligan really did his homework on this. So between the sex scene and the bad writing on how things work in hospital insurance cases, I gotta say I'm done with the series. I'm not going to read any further. If he can't do better research than this and has to come up with nonsensical crap like that to set up a limited timeline, which why not just say that his body's giving out by an organ failure, and even with the life support, he only has a week left. That's all you really need to say. But no, we're going to, try and complicate things unnecessarily. But anyway, it's recommended for ages 16 up. I only gave it 2 out of 5 stars. And there's some of the artwork. Now, Anaki's artwork is very nice. This is a part where he's, going to the light, and of course, there's the mage that's trying to collect his soul for the demon, and Abby talks him out of it, and there you go. And of course, no show is complete without Midnight showing up to let everybody know he's here. You want to be on camera anymore? Yeah. Let's see if I can get this camera to go down. There we go. There we go. Yeah. He wants his dinner. That's what it is. It's like, I've been a good boy today. Well, he was actually here a couple minutes earlier. He was just sitting down at my side, and then he decided to jump in my lap while I was reading. So he is what he is there. But that is pretty much our reviews for today. Now, there we go. You can reach me on Facebook at Lewis.BrightRaven, at Twitter at LewisBrightRaven2. You can see some of my artwork, more of my artwork at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. You're watching Quoth Raven, Lewis Brightraven on YouTube and I believe Facebook. Yeah, Facebook is showing it this episode, but the best way to watch the replay is on YouTube. You can reach me on email for questions or commissions at quothravenlbr72@gmail.com. And if I don't get back to you, try LewisBrightRaven at yahoo.com. Yep, I've got it. I've got all the Canto issues. That's why I tend to say, if you're going to go back issue hunting, I don't know. I tend to go for trades these days, but yeah, it is what it is. But this week, obviously Mondays became Tuesdays comics news and reviews. Tomorrow will be what did you get this week? Now, for what did you get this week? I'll mention what I got from the local comic book shop. We will have a reveal of whatever's in this box. It is from Indie Planet, so I was thinking it was one thing that I paid for, and unfortunately, it's not that. Or fortunately, it's not. It's not unfortunate or fortunate. It's not what I think it is. So I'm going to be surprised when I open this up because I don't know what's inside this tomorrow. And we're going to do some more reviews. We're going to review Werewolf by Night, New Wolf Rising from Marvel. We're going to review Titan Mouse of Might, Volume 2, How the Mighty Have Fallen, hardcover. And we're going to review a somewhat gothic and sometimes ugly sketchbook, Volume 1, also by Gary Shipman, along with that Titan Mouse of Might book. So we're going to review all that tomorrow, as well as talk about what I got in the comic shop. Yes, the Lionhearted #1 comes out this week. So that's be one of the things hopefully my store will get, and I'll be able to share. Let's see. So that will be tomorrow. On Thursday, I will do a live draw instead of a roundtable discussion. And I think that'll probably be in the afternoon. It depends. My father's got rehab assignment for, I don't know what all they're trying to get him to do. But they got him going to a rehab center. And yesterday, his appointment was at 12:30. We didn't get home until after 5, and we still had to go get some other stuff. That's why I wasn't on yesterday, because I was gone all day. I'm hoping it won't take that long tomorrow. Um, if it is going to take that long, then I'm probably just going to do something else, but I don't know. We'll figure it out. Okay, little one, time to go. Thank you. I get him on my lap. That's just what time tomorrow? 5, probably 5 to 6, thereabouts, depending on how long it takes me to, and when I go get the books. I have to go to the library because the library has still not gotten the DVDs for Wolf Blood seasons 2 and 3 yet. They say they're going to be in tomorrow, so I have to wait until both their shipments arrive at the library to make sure they got them before I go. So hopefully, that'll be what's going on. And then Friday, assuming that I get these DVDs at 9 p.m., we will get, we'll talk about original season 2 and Wolf Blood as a whole, season 1 through 3, with any luck. Pop Culture Mentor says he just backed a new campaign today, Lady Lovecraft. Okay. Is that an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter? It's a Kickstarter. Okay. Alrighty then. I'll make sure to see if I can look that up because I can always discuss more of that stuff as well. I do know that we're starting to get some people, trying to get some people scheduled up. When Aaron Lepresti launches his Wraith of God, he'll be on a Friday at some point. Jeremy Massey, not Jeremy Massey, I'm sorry. I can't think of his name now. Darn it. Just give me a moment. I can't find it. Oh, well. Another person wants to do a Friday on August 2nd, I guess. So I'll have a guest on Friday, and I'll have my Friday show on Thursdays that week as a result. So that is our schedule for this week. And then, of course, Saturday, this upcoming week, I'll have another live draw as well. So I'll probably be doing live draw Thursday and Saturday. And maybe Sunday this week. So if you like this video, or you think others might like this video, hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to continue to get content from this channel. As always, I thank you for your support. And Tukey is launching his She Omnibus Thursday. Okay. Well, I've never really cared about She. I mean, I respect Billy, no problem. It's not a bad comic. It's just not my thing. But I'm sure that it's a big deal in the Kickstarter land. Or he's Indiegogo, isn't he? Yeah, he's Indiegogo. Maybe even both. Who knows? But kind of crazy that way. But anyway, I will see you guys probably around 5 or 6 p.m. tomorrow to talk about what I got this week and review those extra books. So, see you tomorrow, folks. Have a good one.